This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Today we're going to be talking to my good friend Michael, who is an ER doctor and a climber as well. What should you do if you feel minor tweaks and pains while you're at the crag or in the gym, and how to treat it? We're going to go over that right now. First of all, Michael, I just want to say thank you for, making this happen.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is really exciting. This is really exciting. You guys, actually, you know what? Michael, can you introduce yourself to the viewers?
Sure. My name is Michael Daignault, and I am a board certified ER doctor living in Los Angeles. And I've been an ER doctor for almost 10 years, which is approximately the time that I've also been a rock climber.
So the purpose of this call, you guys, is that I want to share you guys something that happened when I was out and about climbing with Michael. And, this happens to us a lot, which is when we're climbing, we sometimes feel minor pains, tweaks, or discomfort, right? And one occasion when I was climbing with Michael, I had a tweak on one of the climbs. And obviously, all I had with me was band-aids and crazy glue for my cuts, right? But I started feeling like a minor tweak, and I was like, man, I want to continue climbing, but I think I might have to stop. But then my friend here, Michael, showed up and started, putting some cream, started telling me how to massage it, giving me some things to do. And I was like, oh my God, this is, first of all, it's helping me. And I was able to climb. And then he gave me a regimen that I can do afterwards, because it doesn't just stop at the crag or at the gym. So, Michael, the reason why I wanted to have you here is if you can share with us, what should we do when that happens, when we start feeling minor aches, pains, or tweaks when we're either at the gym or at the crag?
Well, I mean, that trip was, I think when that happened to you on that trip, that was very early in our day. And so I think me wanting to help you was a bit selfish on my part, just because I wanted to be able to continue to climb with us for the rest of the day. And you were essentially our guide there too. But it was the just minor aches and pains and injuries and stuff like that. I mean, that's my wheel as an ER doctor. I mean, that's something that I see every day in my shift. And I think over the last 10 years, like, things that I've learned from how to take care of injuries when I'm out climbing, I've actually been able to apply it to patients I have in the ER. And then I've taken my knowledge in emergency medicine and also applied it to climbing and what happens outside. And so both of those activities have informed themselves. And so what I recommended to Ozzy is just to get him through the day and be able to still climb. I think the first thing is you have to recognize the difference between an ache and a pain, or a tweak, as you called it, versus like a significant injury. And I think, what I recommend is for those minor aches and pains, and, obviously not for major injury, which you'll know when that happens, and you should probably stop climbing right when that happens. But, no matter how much training we do, no matter how much preparation we have for these trips that we go on, especially us from LA when we travel out to Red Rocks, I mean, it's something we look forward to for weeks. And you can do everything right, and you get on that rock outside, and if you're not a regular outdoor climber, you can, very easily end up with an ache and a pain that's not something you're used to. So what I recommended to Ozzy was basically, two different steps, two different parts. And the first one is to, just basically kind of soothe the initial inflammation that arises from that ache and pain. And what I had on me, and again, a lot of these products are just, stuff that I've accumulated over the years that I really like from doing my own research. I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. I don't get money for saying this. It's just stuff that I really like and that I use and I recommend to my friends and family. So the first one is, it's a company called Papa and Barkley, and they make this relief balm. And this one is THC rich. So it's a combination of THC and CBD. And obviously CBD has had this huge explosion in the last few years. And It's definitely something I've been monitoring and just, recommending it for friends and family and patients, and just anecdotally looking at what works best. And so, oral CBD, like CBD tincture, works pretty good for aches and pains. But if you're going to apply any cream, which is what we did in Ozzy's case, you need to have THC. THC penetrates into the tissue better than CBD alone. So if you can find a cream either from this company or other ones that have THC and CBD, it works really well getting into that area of injury, your fingers, your shoulders, your back, very quickly. Again, it's topical THC. You're not going to get high from it. You're still going to be able to climb. Okay, so that's the first step.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify this, you guys. We're doing this just to share with you guys, like the conversations that I have with my friends and the conversation I had with Michael, and I just find it so valuable. And again, these products are not like, we're not sponsored. We're not like, trying to make money off of this. This is just me and Michael had a conversation, and I was like, dude, I want to share this if you don't mind, And what had happened, just so you guys know, I got into a climb called Monkey Wrench. And at a certain point within this climb, there's a pocket hole. There's like a little pocket hole. And I have to grab it with these two fingers, right? So what had happened is, as I was coming up and holding the pocket hold, and I was coming up, and next thing you know, I felt something, I was able to send my climb.
Priorities.
Priorities. Just so you guys know, because, we're going to question it. I was able to send my climb, but I pushed myself so hard that, I felt it. And I was like, what is this? And the thing is this, we had just started too, like Michael said. So Michael right away, he's like, oh, I'll help you, man. I'll help you. But yeah. And as he mentioned, we have to identify how serious this it is. If it's too painful where I can't climb, then I would have to stop. But it was just, I can tell it was just a minor tweak. And because I wasn't feeling so much pain, but yeah, like Michael said, like what did you do, Michael, again?
So we looked at Ozzy's minor injury, this tweak, and treated it in a few steps. So the first one was to put on this topical THC cream, which the THC definitely gets into the tissue a little bit better than just CBD alone. Then I always bring leukotape with me. This is something you can find on Amazon. A climber recommended this to me years ago in Brooklyn, and I've been obsessed with it since. It's really thick, strong, waterproof tape. And on a climbing trip, if I were to put this on, my finger or a few fingers, and I could literally leave this on for 2 to 3 days, and that's through showering and washing and everything else. This stuff really stays. And so the second thing we did after we applied the cream was we made a sort of an H wrap on Ozzy's finger to support that particular part of the finger that was injured, and just sort of like support it by giving it more attachment to the upper part of the finger, just so it would take the weight off the lower part that was possibly injured. So I highly recommend bringing this with you, again, on climbing trips and going to the gym. And then the third thing we did was I gave him some ibuprofen, and that helps with the pain, and it also helps reduce that acute inflammation that's causing the tweak at the time, just so you can get through the rest of your day.
Yeah. And then as you mentioned, it's as important to treat it at the crag. And then what should we do afterwards at home or once we get back?
So as we mentioned, there's what we do at the crag or at the gym to sort of help you get through the rest of your day. And then, managing these small injuries is a 2-part step. So the second part is what you do when you go home. So to treat the acute inflammation, which means, the pain and the swelling that you have, I highly, highly recommend ice above all, even probably better than ibuprofen itself. And so what I like to do with ice, depending on where the injury is. So say it's your hand, like in Ozzy's case, a lot of people will just take a bag of ice and just put it on the hand, but it doesn't really give you enough of a surface area to cover. So what I recommend is usually you take like a small bowl, dump a bunch of ice cubes in there, and then fill it full of water, and then immerse your entire hand in that bowl. So the cold water and the ice increases the surface area that you're able to treat. And so I recommend people, at night in the middle of a climbing trip, just put on a movie, watch some TV, and just keep your hand in there as long as you can tolerate. And if it gets really cold, you can pull it out and then just put it back in and just try to keep it in there for as long as you can. And that really helps treat the pain and the swelling, so that the next day you'll be able to go out there and continue to try to send your projects. If it's a bigger area, like a shoulder, oftentimes we get that shoulder impingement, that tweak here, or your lower back, like you just fall down or jump off a climb awkwardly. What I like to do is, if you have either like a bowl or a container, and you put like a fork or a pencil or something in the container and then fill it full of water and then put it in the freezer. And then overnight, you're going to end up with something like this. So basically, I put this in here, in this bucket, filled it full of water, and then it froze. So now I have this handle, the very large surface area of ice. It doesn't hurt my hand. It doesn't make this hand cold because I have the handle. And when I've like injured my shoulder, I'll sit there at night and just do this. Or you could do it on your lower back, and it works amazing. It works better than like an ice pack or anything else. I mean, and you just go as long as you can until it starts becoming like a total mess. But
that's a huge popsicle.
Yeah, this has worked well. I mean, I injured my rotator cuff a few years ago, and this is what I was doing, and for months every night. And I swear by this method.
Yeah, it's crazy how it's like, I know about icing your hands and all that stuff, but
this is next level icing.
This is next level icing, man. You see you guys, this is exactly why I'm so glad we're doing this, because little things like that, it might seem little, but you gotta do anything as much as possible for you to recover as quickly as possible. Because if you don't do anything, you're losing time into your training, into climbing, into even getting back in good condition. If you don't treat it, it's gonna take you longer to heal, right? I love the fact that you're sharing this, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's all about performance and going out on a trip or going to the gym and just performing at a higher and higher level. And recovery and treatment of these minor injuries is part of it. Like you said, you can't not do anything.
Yeah.
And these minor tweaks could become bigger injuries, but if you take the opportunity to just address them when they come up, and it's kind of like snuffing out little fires here and there, so it doesn't become like a whole forest fire essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And dude, you're so right. Because let me tell you something. I can tell a difference when I treat something than when I don't. Because before, when I didn't treat it, it would take me longer to heal. But the time when I was with you and you took care of it, I was able to climb. Not only that day, but treating it at home too, and then coming back, like, I'm good now. I still feel a little bit here and there, but obviously it's getting better. It's getting stronger, right? Before we continue, I want to talk about our sponsor for today's video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people. Explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in creativity. And I'm going to talk about one of the classes that I take, which is Cinematography Basics, Understanding Filmmaking Styles by Zach Mulligan. Most of you know I'm all about filmmaking, cinematography, and learning. One of the takeaways, for instance, that I'm learning from Zach is the fact that how important framing is and how important it is to have a shot list as well. What's great about Skillshare is that it's curated specifically for learning, meaning there are no ads, and they're always launching new premium classes so you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you. And it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. Now, since Skillshare is sponsoring this video, the first 1,000 of my subscribers that click on the link in the description below are gonna get a free trial of the premium membership, so you can explore your creativity, you guys. So be sure to click on the link in the description below. It's a good way to support my work and support our sponsorship, Skillshare. What about resting? Can we talk about resting too?
We're all terrible at that. I don't
you know what's funny? I'm like, I'm like, as I'm talking, I'm like, no, man, you know why I still feel it? It's because I haven't rested, like completely rested, you know?
No.
And you're right. We're terrible at doing that.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, there's actually prefer the term active recovery versus resting. Um, and so, this goes into what else you can do at home besides icing. And so, there's a couple other things that I swear by at night. And I mean, a lot of you that are climbers already probably already have foam rollers. So this is
Oh, yeah.
the traditional foam roller. It's like a cylinder bar made by a company called Trigger Point. And then I actually have my surf coach taught me this trick a few years ago. He takes a couple, they're like Trigger Point circles here, and they're made out of foam. And what I do is I take the Luco tape that we talked about before, and I tape them together. And I mean, I've had this same piece of tape on here for at least 6 months. And what it does is when you have two like this and you have this center area that's open, you can basically put this with your spine in the middle and then just sort of roll on this, like literally lay down on it and just go all the way up your back. And I've used this for, back tweaks and shoulder tweaks, like shoulder impingement injuries on climbing trips or after the gym. You basically, for your shoulder, you can put this between your shoulder and the wall of your apartment, like on a corner, and just sort of like roll back and forth. And you're trying to release the nerve impingement, or you're trying to loosen up the muscles in your back. And so, this is very easy to take with you, much more than this, right?
Yeah.
So, this is my go-to for sure. Like any climbing trip or going to the gym, this is always in my bag. And I absolutely swear by these. I mean, these things are like $5 each on Amazon. And
Yeah.
actually, another $5. So.
Actually, let's do this. We're gonna leave links in the description below of all the products that he's mentioning.
So when you go home at the end of the day after a climbing trip or after the gym, and you've done the foam rolling or used a couple of the Trigger Point balls that we talked about, and you've iced, and the other thing that I swear by is Epsom salt. I mean, you can, even if you forget to bring it, you can drop by a CVS or a Walgreens and buy a small bag of Epsom salt. They're like less than $10. And the Epsom salt has magnesium in it. Magnesium is a known muscle relaxer. So what I always do is 2 cups of Epsom salt in warm, hottish water, and just soak in there up to your neck for like 20 minutes. And then end with a cold shower. Anytime you're doing like hot and cold therapy, you always want to end on cold. And that alternating between hot and cold kind of shunts the blood and your lymphatic system. And so it helps kind of clear out all those inflammatory cells that are involved in your acute injury or tweak. And so at the end of the day, on your climbing trip, before you go to bed, end on an Epsom salt followed by a cold shower. And, that'll just relax all your muscles and help you climb better the next day.
Yeah, I can't wait to try that. I still haven't tried that. And
dude.
On our next trip, Michael.
I got Rudy into it. The last time we were on a trip, I gave him a couple of cups, and he went and threw it in his bathtub, and he uses that like every night as well now too.
Oh, of course, I bet. He spoiled himself. Michael, when are we gonna climb again? Let's tell our audience, when are we gonna climb again?
I think the answer is always soon.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man. Michael, thank you so much, man. Seriously, for taking the time. Yeah, taking the time out of your day and making this happen and providing this valuable, information to us climbers from a climber yourself. You guys, Michael's a strong climber, man. I'll put a video of you climbing right now.
All right, thank you.
If you guys have any questions or would like to see more videos like this, hit the like button. Let us know in the comments below. Ask your questions in the comments below, and we can answer them on another call. Michael, once again, thank you so much for making this possible.
It was great being here, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, for sure, man. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.